Good morning. It is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. I'm Anthony. This is Drive Dive. So, if you've been tuning into my content, I've been talking a lot about, productivity and reflecting on James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, which I've pretty much finished. I think I may actually revisit to continue reflecting upon. But anyway, in this video, I think I just wanted to talk about my weekend, some of the things I did, right? How I feel I was productive. Maybe that can help you. And then I guess I wanted to share quickly that the next book I'm going to dive into is How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't know. Former boss recommended it, thought it was, a good one. And then just since I read Atomic Habits on Amazon, audiobooks, Audible, whatever, and they, I guess they recommended that. It popped up as a title. I'm like, all right, let's give it a go. So we'll see what that one's about. But anyway, the weekend, man, I hope yours was productive. I hope you got after it. For me personally, I stuck to my diet and things. I was up early, which I don't always love, but, the kids waking me up, especially my daughter. But I worked out once. I'm a little sore. I got a little chest and tricep workout in. Would have loved to get more sessions in, but had some things to get done around the house. I took care of a small project. Years ago, I bought a jewelry box with legs. It's like a freestanding jewelry box for my wife. And at the time, we didn't really need the legs. Like, we were going to put it on top of a nightstand or dresser. So I removed the base, which was kind of like a sort of a square frame glued to the bottom of the jewelry cabinet and jewelry box that then the legs would screw into as well. So I removed all of that so it would sit nice and flat. But now years later, right, thankfully I held on to all of that. She wanted to put the legs back on, so I had to turn it upside down. I didn't empty the contents prior, but turn it upside down, sort of hammer back in, tamp down that square frame, a little bit of wood glue too, put a board and a real heavy dumbbell down on top to help that glue set, and then I found some screws that worked, machine screws that worked with the legs, to reattach those. So that was one little project, and I was happy to be able to do that for my wife. She asked me to do it a little while ago. But fortunately I was able to get that done this weekend. I took apart a desk. I think really as per James Clear's recommendation in Atomic Habits and talking about your the environmental design, and how that can contribute or not to our productivity levels. I brought in California Closets. I think that's the name of the company. A little expensive, but I'm telling myself, no, it's a worthy investment to help us be a bit more productive. I wanted to really fill this corner space in our basement where I had a corner desk and I played around with a couple of different setups. But now I think it's time to really put it together with a custom solution and kind of just go really big. I think there will be a lot of built-in storage, integrated storage, cabinets, right? Open door cabinets, filing cabinets. Some of the things, that I use, I guess in the home office, or my wife and I use to store a lot of, whether it's financial statements or manuals and all that kind of fun stuff, but also everything that my son and I have gotten into with trading card games. There's just so many binders and boxes of cards that, we need space to put all this stuff. And then because we've started to do our own, sort of YouTube stuff, not just me, speaking my mind here, but he and I will play video games together, try to film that stuff. We will play trading card games. At least we're planning on, filming some of that gameplay and to try to get that out there on YouTube as well. So I needed a bit better of a setup that I didn't have to, with all the wires and using two laptops, right? We're each on a laptop, and then there's a third one recording. There's just a lot to set up and take down every time that I was like, man, yeah, a bigger desk, where he and I can really sit comfortably side by side and play together with the video mixer in between. it'll be a much neater setup. So while it's a little pricey, I think that it'll help immensely, and certainly look a lot better too. I think right now with the 2 kids and toys all over, it's like, it'll just look a lot neater, and I'll feel better. Right? It's like you can't put a price on happiness, so sometimes it's how I break it down. Like, am I going to feel better? Check, right? Am I going to be more productive? Well, that's the plan, right? So now I got to make it happen, right? I made this investment. Now I have to make it pay off, right? My son and I have to make it pay off, but really me, right? I mean, he's 8. I can't hold him all that accountable for all these little side projects that, let's be honest, I'm trying to get into, right? But I really do enjoy spending the time with my son, with my family, and I think too this sort of double side-by-side workstation with all the storage, it'll just help too. I think down the line when my kids need space to work at home, like their bedrooms aren't that large, and I think it'll be helpful. What else did I do this weekend? Right, so Sunday we had a soccer tournament. My son plays travel, so we had like 3 games. Thankfully, we didn't have to go too far, and it's a brand new experience for all of us. I never did any travel sports when I was a kid. My wife did a lot of dance, right? So she danced competitively, right? Part of a team, and choreographed routines, all that fun stuff. So she was definitely used to the travel and the hustle bustle, but not with soccer, right? Which is kind of different with, I don't know, but so that was new. And my daughter's 2. She's with us, and I didn't really get to pay too much attention to my son and what was happening on the field, because instead of I'm occupying my daughter, who loves me to no end, but also really wants my attention all the time. So yeah, that was that, right? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really did on Friday or Saturday. Other than really, I guess Saturday, like I said, breaking down the desk was also a lot of, packing up and moving and trying to organize. We did run out to Lowe's and pick up a shelving unit so I could organize some stuff in our closet. Now I think it's a lot of like totes and things. We have like a cedar closet, right? All of our holiday decorations, and I was trying to. I guess at one point we moved a lot of stuff out of there. When we were having our bathroom redone, we needed to move a lot of stuff out of the way, so the workers, contractors, could access the basement ceiling, the plumbing underneath our shower. So then we never really put that stuff back in. So it was nice to be able to tackle that as well, just kind of organize that space. But now I think to even better organize it, now we have to pick up some additional totes for the holiday decorations, and it just never ends, right? And that's just these conversations about productivity, and why I think I was drawn to it initially, and I think still am, is because it's just with everything going on, if you don't get to this project or that project, these different items on your list, you're left feeling, at least certainly I am, just feeling very stressed and anxious all the time. Like, okay, well, if not now, when? And feeling like certain things are never going to happen. But then trying to work on my mindset where it's like, no, well, maybe this didn't happen, but this is what did happen, right? And or conversely, I guess this weekend, I getting home from the soccer tournament, I was left feeling a little frustrated. I brought papers to grade with me, and I didn't even get to do that. I didn't get to, like I said, I didn't get to pay as much attention to my son as I would have liked to. And then we went out to dinner after, and the past couple times we've gone to restaurants, my daughter just like has to sit with me, and she because she's sitting with me and I guess vying for my attention and everything, I don't always get to enjoy my meal or focus on, I guess is what I would say, right? Trying to shift my mindset here. It's different where I don't get to, I guess, just sit and focus on my meal, or table conversation and things like that. It's trying to convince my daughter to go to the bathroom, which last night at the restaurant, it's like I got her in the bathroom after she said poop, got her in the bathroom, but then as soon as we get in, she says no, and she's screaming, and okay, so we washed her hands and we left. So I'm like, all right, at least we got our hands clean, but then at the table, like, just wanting to be on my lap, or she's dipping her French fries and things into my salad dressing, and then expecting me to eat them. I'm like, that's not right. So it was, just left feeling a little frustrated. So there were things that, I don't know, did or didn't happen. But then when we got home, I said, you know what? All in all, right? I just said to the family, we're just getting out of the car. So, great job this weekend, right? I mean, we had some new experiences with travel soccer. There weren't any major boo-boos or, things of that sort, right? Maybe there were a couple bumps here and there, but no injuries sustained, and so just trying to paint it as ultimately a successful weekend, and certainly as a productive one. I got a couple of those things taken care of around the house. Did I get to work out? No, but there are only 24 hours in a day. I did something with the time, and that's that. So I don't know. I hope you enjoyed the video. I don't know. Give me a nice like on the video. Comment down below. How'd you spend your weekend? Thoughts on my weekend and California closets and jewelry boxes and all that fun stuff. Travel soccer. I don't know, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you catch me on the next one. I'll put out another video probably each day the rest of the week. I usually shoot for around this 10-12 minute mark, and then at the end of the week I put them together as a compilation video and see what that algorithm does for me. But anyway, happy Monday, make it a great one. Catch you tomorrow morning. Take care. Good morning. It is Tuesday, March 4th, 2025. I'm Anthony, and this is Drive Dive. So, I don't know, some of my stuff, I've been talking about productivity as a husband, father, teacher, long commute. I like to work out and play trading card games, and I have so many interests that I'm just super hard pressed for time. I've been trying to find ways to create some synergy in my life, or just generally be more productive, and so I've dived into a couple of different books. One, Atomic Habits by James Clear, and now I've started to get into, as an audiobook, Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I've only made it through, I don't know if it's part one or the first chapter, but the introduction in the first chapter. And the thing that struck me, there's certainly a lot of focusing on yourself, right, and not being critical of others. He speaks a lot about Abraham Lincoln, who happens to be one of my favorite historical figures. I say that I'm not a history buff. I don't pretend to know every detail about Abraham Lincoln, but just some of his quotes, like better to be silent and thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. I believe that's attributed to George Washington, to Abraham Lincoln, attributed to Abraham Lincoln, and that's always been one of my favorites in terms of just, well, one, so what if people think you're a fool? You can't control their thoughts, and most of the time what they think doesn't really matter anyway. You're the one who has to be happy with your choices. And then two, when you're going to speak, make sure you say something intelligent. As a teacher, I think I've used that quote in the classroom a few times, just talking with students about, hey, you can't be goofy all the time. People will judge you for being goofy. So let's try to straighten up a little bit. So, but I guess a lot of it, Abraham Lincoln comes up in how he, early on in life, was very critical of others, to the point where he got in some pretty serious trouble, I guess, in a duel, sword fight, and which I didn't know, right? Again, not a history buff. Interesting story. And from then on, apparently, he was very careful and more reserved, conservative in his approach to trying to, I guess, correct the behavior of others that he was in charge of, right? Generals and such. So I do find myself maybe having learned some similar lessons in life, where I remember one time just jokingly saying something stupid about another boy's mom, which in grade school seemingly everybody was doing at the time. But I took one literally like on the eye. That boy came over and just decked me, and then I had to walk around with a shiner for a little while, and kind of learn that lesson. Like, hey, maybe don't say things you don't mean. Don't say things that aren't intelligent. Don't say things that are offensive to other people to the point where they're going to punch you in the eye. So certainly learn to not do some of those things, and taking those lessons into the classroom, where it's I really try super hard not to use any sort of criticism or sarcasm, even where I might be trying to communicate one thing, but if I choose words that don't literally mean what I'm trying to say, there's just too much room for misinterpretation, right? Not quite capturing exactly what I meant to say. Then the point gets lost, and the kids are frustrated, and they end up with some resentment. I think was the point made by Carnegie in this particular part of the book, that the criticizing others when they are at fault, even the most hardened and notorious of criminals, when they're at fault, they don't actually believe that they are, and they don't blame themselves. They just end up bitter at those who do criticize them. So the point being to try to praise and highlight strengths and use that as a means of improving or reinforcing behaviors, trying to understand why certain choices, decisions were made, why certain people behave certain ways in specific contexts, I think was the point. And the other point I think that stood out to me in the introduction to the book was Carnegie, I guess, spent a lot of time teaching public speaking courses at, I guess, the college or university level, and found that it wasn't the art of public speaking, the skill of public speaking that people were lacking, but it was people skills. And that's what led to the years-long, decades-long production of this written work. And reflecting on just those 2 points, I feel, I'm going to read this book, continue on with this book anyway, but I feel that what I'm lacking personally, if the point being made here is to be more critical of yourself and control your own thoughts, words, actions, I need to focus on the public speaking end of things. I don't believe I have any lack of people skills relating to folks and giving them the benefit of the doubt and trying to understand what they're going through or imagine what they have gone through that has, I guess, created the person that they are, that has contributed to their decision-making processes in particular situations, and then trying to work with them to ultimately get them to do what I want. As a leader, right? And as a supervisor, I've been able to guide teachers to taking on new courses and challenges and levels and different schedules. I had a pair of teachers who, someone retired, and I needed somebody to teach AP biology the following year, and they were very reserved about it, or cautious. They just worried as newer, non-tenured teachers, and I guess the culture around AP in the building, there was a lot of, I guess, focus on those scores and wanting students to continue to perform at a high level. And these teachers who, there were a couple of sections, 2 or 3 sections, I believe, the initial thought would have been to just have one person take on the role of teaching AP biology. So the two that I had in mind, they each, like I said, had their reservations about it. But after speaking with them, I mean, we came up with a system where, hey, 2 sections, let's each have them do it. And then they have a partner, they can go on a buddy system and work things out, share ideas and supplies and coordinate their instruction and everything, and it all worked out. But there wasn't a moment where I thought negatively of them in any way for not wanting to do it. I mean, there was another teacher who had been there longer, was tenured and everything, and I was curious, very curious, as to why that teacher wasn't chomping at the bit to teach AP biology and work with our highest caliber of student, right, in biology. But I didn't openly criticize him for it or voice that in any way. I just asked the question, and he expressed he wasn't interested, and we moved on. I knew I had other options, and I was able to have more productive conversations with those two and get to a solution, right? Solve that problem of identifying a teacher to, in this case, teachers, to tackle AP biology. So I mean, that's one example where just understanding people and working with them and building relationships and building that trust. I think I was still relatively new at the time. Maybe I was only working with them for about 6 months when we're making this decision. But I was able to do that and support them, and we built up a lot of trust, and that just became the way we worked through, I don't know, any number of issues, scheduling, working out schedules from year to year, talking about room usage and the number of preps and how long this person had been teaching this level of course and working with this type of student, and just speaking very openly about our respective needs and working collaboratively toward a solution. So for me, at least what I've read so far, the advice of not criticizing folks, I mean, that's not a problem. I think that I even in raising my son so far, able to have similar sorts of conversations about and anticipated challenges. He had an incident at school, and I was very upfront with him. I said, this is the first time this is happening. It's a big shock to me. Like, it's probably going to take me a little while to kind of get over it. So I apologize if I'm not as nice to you over the next couple of days as I normally would be. But like that's what I'm going through. Like that's part of my process in dealing with, right, coming to terms with the events that transpired. I won't share the details, but I was a little shocking. I was caught off guard. But it's the public speaking thing, and that was something that I recall sharing in a video here. One of the things I was hoping to get out of, and still am hoping to get out of this process, recording, thinking on my feet, right? This is not scripted. Not that anybody's firing questions away, but kind of just having a conversation with myself here and trying to make sure that I speak eloquently. Not too many uhs and ums and annoying speech patterns. Part of the goal, while I gain some knowledge from audiobooks and share that with all of you to motivate, to inspire, and to feel more productive, to use this 12 minutes of my 45 to 60 minute morning drive to work in a productive fashion. So with that, I ask that you comment down below, share your thoughts on the video. If you've read the book, if you've ventured into a YouTube channel, if you have any feedback on my public speaking abilities or anecdotes of how you've managed to win friends and influence people, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you catch me on the next one, which will be tomorrow morning. I try to put out a video every morning on this drive. So that's it. Look forward to connecting with you. Have a great day. All right, good morning. It is Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. I'm Anthony. This is Drive Dive. I'm going to start by saying that you should watch this video and all of the content on my channel if you're interested in gaining some insights into productivity, some insights into how I attempt to be more productive, and hopefully you can take those lessons and apply them to your own life, your own circumstances, and in turn yourself be more productive, make more progress towards your goals. So I've said before, I'm a husband, a father, a homeowner. I teach high school. I'm on my way to do that now. I have this hour-long drive. I like to work out. I like to play trading card games. My son's 8 years old. I'm trying to support him in his school and soccer endeavors, and also carve out time for some Fortnite. And so there's a lot going on. I have a 2-year-old daughter who loves me to death and takes up a lot of my time as well. And and then trying to find time to spend with my wife. My wife and I to spend together, in between all of these events, and staying up late. We're both exhausted and falling asleep as we're trying to watch a movie and or connect and spend some quality time together. So that's kind of everything in a nutshell. Some of the insights, like I said, you might gain and then apply to your life. But so I started getting into some audiobooks, things like Atomic Habits was one, and now the second one that I'm currently in is Winning Friends and Influencing People, I think is the book. I don't know, Carnegie, something or other. And my video yesterday, I talked about how it kind of draws a line, I guess, between public speaking skills and people skills, and how I felt that, I guess just based on my own life experiences, for me, it's less the people skills and more the public speaking arena that I need to develop. The first part of the book as well, that was in the introduction, so then the first maybe chapters talk about mostly a lot of Abraham Lincoln stories and how he was careful not to, or learned the lesson not to criticize, but to build up and encourage, and using that as a way of influencing people, changing their behavior. So I expanded upon that a little bit. And then the thing I'm hooked on in the second parts of the book are when trying to influence someone, not talking about your needs and your perspective, but talking about their wants, their needs, and what this interaction or what this opportunity presents for them. And so that's why I chose to start the video the way that I did, talking more about why you should watch this video, not why I want you to watch it or what I'm getting out of this experience, but why you should watch it. And so I do think it's important to catch on to those things, and that's, I don't know. So that's what I wanted to try to get to. What sort of insights can I offer you as a busy person in general? So I think first and foremost, and now I'm reflecting a bit on both of the audiobooks I've gotten through and through part of. You have to have goals. I do think first and foremost you have to have goals. You have to have things that you want to accomplish. I'm all for being productive. I'm all for rolling up our sleeves and just getting work done, but not for work's sake. There has to be a goal. James Clear will say that just having a goal isn't enough. You also have to have systems, right, habits, routines, supports in place that will allow you to make progress toward these goals. 100%. Couldn't agree more. And so for me, my struggle has been, I guess, doing just that, ensuring that I have the systems in place, the habits, the routines, the setup, in order to make progress. Like I remember saying that about, like, when I initially started working in Randolph. At one point, I just remember thinking, like, oh no, this office, like, I need to move furniture. I need to get an extra monitor. Like, and I was telling myself, like, I don't feel like I'm set up for success. So I had to tweak some things first. And it's funny that, James Clear talks about exactly that. Your setup, your environment, and how can you tweak the environment to better support the activities that you need to engage in to meet your goals. And that's something that I'm currently working on at home with all of these sort of YouTube endeavors. My son and I have dabbled a little bit in recording some Fortnite video gameplay. We want to start recording some Disney Lorcana gameplay. And so I'm thinking, definitely need a better setup. So I'm in the process of revamping my corner office area. Packed up some stuff, took the desk apart. I got California Closets coming in to install a custom solution, which I'm very fortunate to be able to pull off. But that's happening. And then I'm trying to think about, for my son, just some more insights. He, again, right, we've spoken about these things that we want to be good at. And he's talked about soccer, Fortnite, Disney Lorcana. Okay, well, how can we get better at those things? What are some activities that we engage in that maybe we could tweak a little bit? And it's taken a little bit where I'd gotten him to he watches YouTube in the morning, but instead of like cartoons or different content that's out there, right? You're familiar with YouTube, obviously. There's a lot out there that you could watch. Why are you watching it? Right? You're not watching this, I don't think, to be purely entertained, but enriched in some way. He was watching a lot that I felt he was being entertained. And I'm thinking, well, you could be enriched. We could watch some videos aligned to the goals, right? You said this is what you wanted to be good at. Can you find some content that will help you get better at those things? So at one point we did, dabble a little in some Disney Lorcana content, whether it was about deck building theories or specific gameplay, different matches and matchups, and how this player dealt with this or dealt with that. But lately, we've been really getting into soccer as he's on a travel team, and they're going to start practicing 2 and 3 days a week and games on Sundays, and we had gone to like separate facilities for like Saturday trainings, and that ended, but we just looked up another one. As I was talking with parents, we looked up another one. He wants to try and do that on Saturday mornings now as well. So I said, well, why don't we look up some soccer videos? And so now he's gotten into that, where he was watching one that highlighted not just 10 skills or pointers, tips for beginners. And in that video, the person just said, like, you got to watch a lot, get on a team, watch a lot of matches. And then this morning, that's what my son was watching. He was watching a soccer match, and the few seconds as I'm in and out of the room, getting myself ready, reminding him, hey, okay, it's time for you to get ready. Seeing a little bit, and just trying to say, like, hey, watch this player, and you see how, he's maybe a winger. I don't know the game very well. He's playing the wing, and generally you want to stay out wide, but when the ball is over on that side of the field, I'm like, look where he is, sort of at the middle of the field. It's like, it's okay to push in sometimes. You don't have to stay super wide. So trying to just get him to to think more about his game as well while consuming that content. So just some adjustments, right, in your environment, some adjustments in the content that you choose to consume, I think can pay a lot of dividends in terms of progress and feeling productive. And it's not perfect, right? I mean, for me, there are lots of home projects that are on my list that I don't get to touch at all for weeks or months on end. But it's like, no, they're there. Like, I want to take care of it. But if I'm not going to get to make progress in those specific ways, I mean, it'll eat me alive, right? If I let it, if I just think about those things and how I'm not making progress, I'll fall apart. I need to, and I choose to, find other ways that I can make progress, right? And if I'm just watching, and don't get me wrong, I do sometimes watch television purely for the sake of entertainment. I recently watched Gladiator 2. I enjoy the new season of Reacher. But if I only did that and then didn't make progress on house projects and various other things, if I don't get my 3 workouts in a week, right, then I don't know. Then what am I doing, right? Then I'm making zero progress. So I feel personally that by making some of these small adjustments, I just feel better, right? Yes, you should watch these videos and watch my content to get some of these insights and apply them to your own life, but I'm getting something out of this as well. This is very therapeutic for me. With this 45 to 60 minute drive, I get to make this video, and even if this channel never gets monetized, even if you get nothing out of this exchange, I still made that little bit of progress. And I can feel good about my morning. I can feel better about my day, my week, as I'm posting this content. Is it perfect? No. When is the last time I came up with a clever title? When's the last time I wrote a video description? I don't know. But I made the video. I put it out there. I made that little bit of progress, and I can feel good about it. And you can too. So, if you wouldn't mind, I think we've reached the end here, the 12-minute mark. Leave a comment down below, some helpful insights or that you gleaned from this video. Any questions you might have for me, thoughts on a different set of circumstances, your set of circumstances. Subscribe to the channel, check out my other content. I don't know, share it with a friend who could maybe benefit from my messaging. And hit that notification bell so you catch me on the next one, which will be tomorrow. I generally post 5 videos a week, assuming it's a full work week, Monday through Friday, and then at the end of the week I just put them all together as one long compilation video, see what the algorithm does for me, and that's about it. So like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you tomorrow morning. Have a great day. All right, good morning. It is Thursday, March 6th, 2025. I'm Anthony. This is Drive Dive. So, hope you're watching this, not really to be entertained, right, but to maybe learn a little bit about productivity, and then, as I reflect on some, different books, and then I hope, that you're also here to gain some insight into, I guess, my life and maybe my struggles and how I struggle to be more productive and so on. So I'm starting to realize that there's sort of a progression here. Some of the books that I've been talking about and the audiobooks I've been diving into, right, are James Clear's Atomic Habits, and then Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I guess the progression here is, right, Atomic Habits is a lot about yourself and forming your own habits and routines and systems, and working on your own identity, the type of person that you want to be, and then taking steps to become that person, doing the things that type of person would do on a regular basis, and stacking habits and such. And that's something that in the first part of Carnegie's book, he talks about the importance of not criticizing others, but to really begin with yourself and work on yourself, work on improving yourself. And I guess one of the things I've really been thinking about is what both authors mention, and it's this sense of belonging, that people are motivated because they want to belong, they need to belong, and that need can influence our behavior in some pretty profound ways. James Clear highlights some psychological experiments where, and I remember hearing these things in college too, where there's a subject in a room with a bunch of, I guess, participants in the study, right? The subject and the other folks, they're actors basically. Might all be asked a simple question about, who was the first president of the United States of America, and it's basically shown that given enough other actors, they'll say the first president was Abraham Lincoln. If there's only a couple, the test subject might say, right, there's only a couple, there aren't enough, that person will say, no, you're all wrong, first president was George Washington. But given enough people, our fear of being wrong, our fear of not belonging, essentially, will cause us to just go with the crowd and say, oh, yeah, the first president of the United States of America was indeed Abraham Lincoln. James Clear's example was something about maybe a picture and the quality of it, whether it was blurry or not, and same effect. Enough people say that it's a crystal clear image and they know exactly what it is, and then the test subject agrees with them in the end, and without voicing any objection. So this need to belong really does take over. And so I think in Carnegie's book, this sense of belonging, he talks about, in the second part of the book, we all want people to be interested in us. And I think that helps us belong. Right? If I know that you like what I'm doing, if I know that you like my YouTube videos and I get these likes and I get subscribers and things, okay, yeah, like I totally belong. Like this is my jam, this is my thing, right? People appreciate me and what I do. But the second teaching in Carnegie's book is that if you want people to be interested in you, you have to first be interested in them. So again, it starts with you. It starts with your own habits, your own routines, the ways in which you are expressing interest, taking interest in others, and then in turn, they will, I guess there's the opportunity, the possibility that they will take an interest in you. And so that's got me reflecting a lot on productivity and feelings of productivity, connecting with people and belonging, right? If I feel like I belong, I think I'm more likely to feel productive. If I've mentioned, right, I'm a husband, a father, a teacher, and so, right, if I start with the classroom, I can set up all of the routines and workspaces that I need to be successful, right? And to engage in some of the very boring practices that are involved in teaching, like lesson planning and grading papers and contacting parents and responding to email and right, things of that nature. I can set those things up for myself. But I could and do all of those things on a regular basis, but still not feel like I belong. In the sense that if I don't get enough output from my students, right, they're not taking an interest in the subject matter in the course, in the lesson that I've prepared, if they're not engaging, doing the work, if their behavior isn't conducive to learning, right, and their performance is less than stellar, then I'm left feeling like, what am I doing, right? Why did I set all of that up? Why did I plan that lesson? Why did I make those copies? Why did I choose my words carefully when I presented how to solve a linear equation, for example? And I can be left feeling like I don't belong, like this is not the place for me. I'm not getting the results that I want. And so educators are trained to start with relationship building and really try to connect with students and greet them when they come in the door and talk about classroom culture and routines and expectations, and to build those things collaboratively, right? And in doing so, I think you are in these same ways that Carnegie suggests, first taking an interest in students. And for me, I think that's a lot of where my head is right now in teaching, trying to figure out how do I get the students to, I guess, work on themselves first, right? And establish their identities, establish their goals, their habits and routines and systems and means of accomplishing those goals. And in the hopes that they see my course as part of that road to success, that it would fit with their identity and their goals and who and what they want to be in the future. It's tough when that relevance isn't there, when students don't see the relevance of the actual subject matter. But it's still the fact that, well, we need to, even if I'm not interested in the course and the subject matter, I mean, at some point I do need to pass the course in order to be eligible for sports, in order to graduate from high school, and then pursue from there, college, career, military, the workforce, etc. It is a means to an end, but what end, right? I wish that I could tease more of that out of my students and have them establish those goals and things, and then better engage, I guess, and better behave in the classroom. So that's one. And the other is, at times, feeling part of a relationship, right? Belonging in a relationship. I know that my wife and I, we have our struggles with the kids and work and chores around the home and everything. Finding that time to really connect is difficult, and I think a lot of times I'm left feeling as though my wife isn't interested in me, or then that I maybe don't belong, in the relationship, or I don't belong in the family, right? These ludicrous thoughts, really creep in, and that has to do with that feeling of belonging, or how we respond to a lack of feeling that we belong. And so then I think that's my struggle, is how do we then take the time to express interest in others so that they in turn express interest in us. And I'm reminded of, it's funny to me, I recently read an article too about, I guess, the power of small talk, and my immediate reaction is I can't stand small talk, but I'm like, I'll read it anyway. And I think this article again touched upon this need to belong. And so small talk is a way to do that. Why do we often just talk about the weather it's something that we all experience, we can all relate to. It's easier then to connect on that and belong in a conversation because we have weather in common. It's such a simple thing, but it also, I don't know, I a lot of times I find it annoying because I'm like, I don't really want to talk about weather. I want to talk about these bigger issues, right? Like, these are people that I work with, right? We have other things in common. We have students in common. We have the same struggles, I think, in our respective classrooms with student engagement and character development and cell phone policies and etc. Could we maybe talk about something else? So I don't value the small talk, but I guess on its face, right? But if it does help with belonging, then I guess I support it, right? Like, what is the larger goal here? My goal is not to engage in small talk, but it is certainly to belong, and it is certainly to open the door to these larger conversations about how to better support students and get them to engage in the lesson. With my wife, right? The small talk of, good morning and how did you sleep? And, is I think to create that opportunity to say, okay, what are we doing on Saturday? And can we get somebody to watch the kids? And, I saw this. And so maybe we can make time and to experience that together and so on, right? I mentioned that in a previous video about a boring task of coordinating calendars. Like, yeah, it's a chore, and that's not the end all be all. I don't necessarily value that, but recognizing within that activity that, oh yeah, there is Saturday nights where we could get the kids to bed and stay up late and spend some time together. That's the result I'm after, right? The bigger experience, the sense of belonging. And so, yeah, there are these little things along the way that we have to do. And so taking an interest in others is paramount. And so reflecting too then on this YouTube experience, right? It's we want people to do certain things, and in order to influence them to do them, I can't begin with, we don't start with, I want you to do this because if you do, here's how it will benefit me. It's you should do this because it will benefit you in this way. But unless I know something about you, I will struggle to tell you how you'd benefit, right? And it's interesting that in the YouTube world, you can do all kinds of research on the analytics, search terms, right? What are the types of content, the topics, the framework that people are interested in, and then you can make a video that meets that demand, right? I can take an interest in the audience. What are they after? Lengths of videos. I think you can get all kinds of analytics on that. The titles and the formats. Are they looking for a top 10 video? Are they looking for a how-to video, etc.? So once you know that, then you can start crafting content, and at the onset of that video, hook them by saying, here's how you will benefit from watching this entire video. So it's an interesting process, and a lot of overlap here in the different realms, whether it's, like I said, in reverse order here, right? Establishing a YouTube channel, establishing stronger relationships at home, be it with a spouse or, a loved one, and then professionally with, I'll say, colleagues and with clients, just to go a bit broader. For me, my clients are students, but for you, your clients may be store owners and, right, just customers in general, right? So it's all kind of the same. And so that's where I say, that watching my content, I hope you're here to learn a bit more about productivity. And though I may not walk in your shoes or have a lifestyle that's like yours, I think you can take these lessons and insights from my experience as a husband, father, educator, etc., and apply them to your own context. So, with that, if you got anything out of this video, you know what to do. Give it a like. Please comment down below. I would love to hear from you, take an interest in you, and in turn create some content that's better tailored to your needs and interests. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you catch me on the next one, which will be tomorrow. Try to put one out every day. So with that, thanks for watching. Happy Thursday. Have a great day. All right, good morning. It is Friday, March 7th, 2025. I'm Anthony, and this is Drive Dive. So in this video, I wanted to expand upon the idea presented in Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the idea of taking an interest in others. I want to share a couple of examples of how I believe I take an interest in others, a couple of times in which I failed to do so, and then I have a favor to ask you in the comments down below. So you should be watching this, right? Not to be entertained, but to be, I guess, informed, enlightened, how to be more productive, and then to gain some insights into I, as an individual, as a husband, father, teacher, struggle to try to be more productive myself and learn some lessons that you might then apply to your life. So, again, presented in Carnegie's book, taking an interest in others is sort of step one to them becoming interested in you. You've taken the first steps of being critical of yourself and gotten your own affairs in order, and now focusing on other people, trying to take an interest in them so that they in turn will take an interest in you. And so for me, with my children, I feel that that's been my approach as a parent, and I think as a result, my kids really do gravitate toward me. So just early on, I mean, for my son, I've always tried to impress upon him, like, I want to know what you're interested in. I don't want you to do things because you think they'll make me happy. I want you to do them because they'll make you happy. I've always been in the gym. I played football when I was in high school. Those aren't necessarily things that I want him to do, but if he chooses to later on, then I'm more than happy to support him. I bring that up because he's really into soccer. He's asked time and time again, if he could play soccer. A bunch of his friends play at school, and I continually ask if he wants to learn to play an instrument, if he wants to try wrestling, if he wants to try baseball, if he wants to try football. And while we did sign up for a flag football league, I think a couple of times, a couple of different sessions, the one thing that has stuck is soccer. And he was on a rec team, and signing him up for that, they had reached out for volunteer coaches, and taking an interest in my son and his interests, I volunteered to be a rec soccer coach. Not a game I really played. I don't know. I still don't know the positions. I still don't know a lot of the terminology. But just to be there with him and hang out and talk to other kids, goof around, and tried to teach him a little bit of soccer, and thankfully it was really run through the U.S. Soccer Organization, where there are experienced coaches and former players who are really running the show. And I'm able to pick up a little bit and facilitate some drills and such, and just help the kids improve their skills and their knowledge of the game a little bit along the way. But I mean, that's certainly a way that I have taken an interest in my son, and then he has taken an interest in me and gravitated toward me. I think another way is, there was a time one summer through camp, kids had gone there and they were sharing and trading Pokemon cards. So once my son started with that, I said, well, I did play Magic the Gathering for like 5 minutes when I was in middle school, so seeing him come home with these trading cards, I was like, oh, do you want to learn how to play Pokemon? And he said, sure. So, I picked up one of those learn to play kits, and that's exactly what we did. It was, just by me taking an interest in him and what he was bringing home, the things he was finding interesting in camp with his friends, I was able to take an interest in that, get involved, and now he and I are spending some time together learning how to play Pokemon, and then, playing a bunch of games and things. And it was really cool because, he was at an age where he was learning how to read, and he was learning basic arithmetic, and that's what these games more or less are all about. Like, you have to be able to read the cards to understand the specific actions that trigger when you play them, or how they interact with other cards that an opponent might play. You have to do the arithmetic to know your characters, how much health they have in total, how much they have remaining, the type of attack that they do, how much damage they do, and will you be able to take out your opponent's character before they take out yours? And then you get into the strategy and the logic and the sequencing of triggers, I guess, and the best order in which they need to occur. So that's been a really fun experience, to the point where now we play Disney Lorcana, and it's evolved to the point where we now go to a bunch of different card stores and play at a competitive level against mostly adults, which you might think is challenging for him, but no, he really does do really well. But playing against these adults who've been involved in the trading card game world, be it Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, for 20 plus years, they're excellent players, and we're holding our own, right? So it's a lot of fun, and like I said, at times doing pretty well. So it's my taking an interest in him, and his interest is really, like I said, paid a lot of dividends between soccer and trading card games. It's a little early to tell yet with my daughter, but I think I take the same sort of approach. She, learning to communicate first, I guess, sort of like, through gestures, right? Physical communication and just pointing and things and trying to be responsive to that, right? She's interested in something over there. It's clear she wants to go over there. And so, if I'm carrying her, I'll gladly walk in that direction and try to figure out what it is she is interested in, even though she's not able to actually tell me what her interests are. And needless to say, that too has paid some dividends, for better or worse, since I'm always willing to pick her up and take her wherever she wants to go. That's now, like, she always wants me to hold her, carry her, which can be cumbersome, but at the same time, that's love, man. She wants that, she craves that attention from me, and I crave it from her too, right? I mean, and that's what it's about, right? It's going back to Carnegie's book, right? It's taking an interest in others so that they in turn will take an interest in you. And I'll say there are times when I've failed to do so. I think when it was clear, like, that I should have. I'm thinking of a time when my boss expressed and shared that he was a Nets fan. I think at the time, like, they had maybe just gotten Kevin Durant, and he was talking about just how excited he was to watch Kevin Durant play, and his style of play, and how effortless it seems, and he just seemed really excited. And I mean, think of the questions I could have asked him, like, oh, how long have you been a fan? How did you become a fan? How often do you go to games? What do you think of the Barclays Center, right, versus the old stadium? Any number of things I could have asked him. And I guess it turned out, that he did, play basketball when he was in high school, and I don't know any of these enough, I guess, to really get into them, but I could have asked some, surface level questions, even like, well, what position did you play? And, all of that fun stuff. Was your team good? Did you win, any division titles, conference titles, etc., right? I mean, I know enough where I could have asked those questions, but I didn't, right? I didn't make that effort to, connect with my boss on that level, and, call it what you will, right? I mean, you could frown upon it, and you could say, oh, that's, maybe you could call it brown nosing, or, something to that effect. Or maybe you might say, well, he's your boss. Like, you're not really supposed to connect with your boss on that level. But I don't know. I would beg to differ. I think that those relationships are important. for networking, and later on when you're moving to different companies or different organizations, maintaining those relationships, I think are important. Showing some loyalty, I think, to the person who hired you, for the role that you're in. I do think those are important steps to take. And so I don't do that very often. I think take an interest, that type of interest in other people. I'm far better at doing that with children, whether it be my own children at home or students in my classroom. I'm better able to do it with them. I don't know, I guess struggle to do it with adults. I don't enjoy, I think I shared yesterday, the small talk. I don't like talking about television and different shows and movies that we've watched. I mean, when we talk about being critical of others versus critical of ourselves, I'll get angry at myself if I get off the couch after watching a show or a movie, and then I start looking at my to-do list or reflecting on the day and the number of some big things, some little things that I didn't get done that I could have easily gotten done in that hour or two. I think I beat myself up about it. And so then it's hard for me to then in social settings to talk then about television shows and movies and things of that sort, where I don't know. I mean, don't ask me what I would rather talk about with these people, but it just doesn't always feel productive to me. And I try to remind myself, like, no, there's an opportunity in here somewhere, right? Or if I have been critical of myself and I see this inability to engage in small talk, this inability to take interest in others, well, the opportunity here in this seemingly boring and mundane experience of small talk is to practice these darn skills, right? And to get better at them so that I can in turn make better connections for the sake of accomplishing my career and other goals. And so I hope you've learned from that, my sort of lessons, the ways in which I feel I've taken an interest in my children and in my students, and how that's kind of helped build relationships with them and have them then in turn take an interest in me, whether it's my advice as a parent or my teaching them how to apply specific mathematics skills and concepts. Taking an interest in them, really does pay dividends, and helping them take an interest in me and my messaging. But then the favor I have to ask from you is to basically do the same. Comment down below the ways in which you feel you take an interest in others. What are some, easy questions, low-level questions, safe questions maybe that you ask strangers in social circles, or when you're at a professional event and networking? How do you go about just introducing yourself and engaging in small talk with people who may lead eventually to job connections or sales calls or things of that nature? So and or any failings, if you're open to sharing that, those are things that we can all learn from. So comment down below if you wouldn't mind. And then if you did gain some insights, like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out my other content, hit that notification bell so you catch me on the next one. I'll take the weekend off and catch you on Monday. Enjoy the weekend. See ya.